Let me hit you with something most men never hear until it's too late. Women don't play men. They respond to the energy men bring. Read that again. If you keep getting played, ghosted, or strung along, it's not because women are evil or confusing. It's because you haven't yet learned how to show up as a man with clarity, purpose, and self-respect. The truth is brutal, but it's also freeing. Once you understand female nature and master yourself, the games stop. Here are 5 core truths every man needs to understand. When a woman tests you, it's not to hurt you. It's to see if you're real. These tests are instinctive. They're not always planned or conscious, but they happen. She might question your opinions, delay a reply, push your boundaries, or challenge your confidence in subtle ways. Most men misinterpret this as rejection or disrespect, and they respond by over-explaining themselves, getting emotional, or backing down. That's exactly when she loses interest, because she's not trying to destroy you. She's trying to feel you, to see if you're grounded, to know if you'll remain solid when things get uncomfortable. Attraction is emotional, not logical. Women are not sitting around with checklists. They're tuned into how you make them feel. When she senses that you can hold your frame, when you don't react emotionally, when you don't get defensive, when you calmly stand by your words, that's when she feels secure. That's when trust builds. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for certainty. For a man who can lead himself, especially when things aren't going smoothly. Most men fail these tests because they seek approval. They think, if I do what she wants, she'll like me more. But the opposite is true. The moment you abandon your standards to keep her happy is the moment she starts to question your strength. You don't win by pleasing her. You win by respecting yourself. These tests are not obstacles. They are opportunities to show who you are. And when you show up calm, certain, and unaffected, you send a powerful message. I'm not here to impress you. I'm here because I know what I offer. That's what separates men who get played from men who get chosen. When a man truly values himself, everything changes, especially how he's treated by women. Most guys get played because they place a woman on a pedestal and forget their own worth in the process. They chase her attention, overinvest emotionally, and compromise their boundaries just to be liked. But what they don't realize is that this behavior communicates low value. It tells her that his self-esteem depends on her approval. And once she senses that, the power dynamic shifts, fast. A man who values himself doesn't operate from desperation. He doesn't need constant validation. He doesn't beg for affection. And he doesn't tolerate flaky behavior. He knows what he brings to the table, his mindset, his time, his energy, and he protects it. That quiet confidence is what women respond to. Not arrogance, but grounded self-respect. He doesn't get emotionally rattled when someone pulls away, because he's rooted in something deeper than attention. He knows that walking away from the wrong woman is better than chasing someone who doesn't truly see him. This kind of man doesn't feel the need to prove anything. He shows up as he is, focused on his purpose, building his life with or without a relationship. And ironically, that's what makes women want to be part of his world. Not because he's trying to win them over, but because he's already won himself over. When you become the kind of man who values his time, his goals, and his peace, you stop getting played. Not because women stop testing you, but because you stop failing the test. You no longer tolerate confusion, disrespect, or inconsistency. You don't settle. And that energy creates clarity in every interaction. Because the man who truly values himself is the one no one dares to play. Women are naturally drawn to men who lead. This doesn't mean being controlling or aggressive. It means having a clear sense of direction and the confidence to walk it. Too many men show up in relationships with a passive mindset. They wait for her to decide where things go, what the relationship is, and how much she's willing to invest. They think being agreeable or nice will earn them love, but what it really earns is disinterest. Because a woman doesn't want to lead the relationship. She wants to feel safe following a man who already leads himself. Leadership starts with self-mastery. A man who knows where he's going in life, who moves with purpose, and who makes decisions with confidence, naturally creates security and attraction. He doesn't ask for permission to be himself. He doesn't constantly check in to see if she approves of his path. Instead, he invites her into a world he's already building. That kind of energy is magnetic because it speaks to something deeper than surface attraction. It signals strength, stability, and trust. The man who leads doesn't beg for attention or chase love. He simply lives in a way that inspires others to follow. His actions are aligned with his words. He doesn't waver when challenged. And most importantly, he's willing to walk alone rather than follow someone else's idea of who he should be. Women don't want a man who's emotionally dependent on their approval. They want a man who brings clarity, not confusion, direction, not doubt. The moment you stop asking, "What do you want from me?" and start showing, "Here's what I want, here's where I'm going," everything shifts. Because when you lead with strength and integrity, you give her something worth trusting, and that's where real attraction begins. Attention is one of the most powerful forms of currency you possess as a man, and most men give it away without thinking. Every time you double text, over-compliment, constantly check her stories, or drop what you're doing to respond right away, you're making an investment. The problem is, when that attention is given freely, without standards or balance, it loses its value. And once something feels too easy to get, it's rarely appreciated. Women are highly intuitive when it comes to attention. They can sense when you're trying to earn their approval through constant validation, and while it may feel like the right move, being sweet, available, and attentive, it often has the opposite effect. It signals that you're trying too hard. It signals that you have nothing else going on. It makes them question whether your attention is valuable or simply desperate. A man who understands his worth treats his attention like a resource, not something to be thrown around, but something to be earned. He doesn't ignore women to play games. He simply doesn't overextend himself. He's focused on his goals, his routine, his mission. If a woman adds to that, he shares his energy. If not, he moves forward with no resentment. When you hold your attention back until it's genuinely deserved, something powerful happens. She notices. She starts to wonder what's different about you, why you're not chasing like everyone else. That curiosity leads to interest. That interest builds attraction. And that attraction is rooted in respect. The man who values his attention creates gravity. He becomes the prize, not by pretending, but by truly believing it. When you treat your focus and time as sacred, people begin to treat you that way too. That's when the dynamic changes, and that's when the games stop. Detachment is one of the most powerful mindsets a man can develop, especially in dating. It doesn't mean being cold or emotionless. It means having the strength to care without becoming controlled. Most men fall into the trap of getting too attached too quickly. They meet someone who shows a little interest, and suddenly, she becomes the center of their world. Their mood depends on her replies. Their self-worth fluctuates with her attention. That kind of emotional dependence is exactly what leads to being played. A man who is detached doesn't stop feeling. He just doesn't let feelings override his standards. He can appreciate a connection without needing to hold on to it at all costs. If the vibe shifts, if the energy changes, if respect fades, he walks. Not to prove a point, not to manipulate, but because his self-respect is non-negotiable. And that's the key. Detachment gives you power because it frees you from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of losing her, fear of being alone. Women sense this. They can tell when a man is emotionally grounded, when he's not shaken by silence or swayed by sudden attention. That steadiness creates deep attraction. She knows he won't be easily moved, won't be easily impressed, and won't be easily fooled. He chooses her, not out of need but out of strength. The moment you can look at a woman and say, "I want you, but I don't need you," is the moment you shift from being played to being respected. That mindset keeps you sharp, calm, and in control. It's not about withholding love. It's about never abandoning yourself to get it. Because the man who can walk away, the man who stays centered no matter what, that man is rare, and rare always holds value. Gentlemen, this isn't about playing games back. It's about rising above them. When you understand female nature and operate from inner strength, the manipulation stops, the confusion disappears, and the right women start showing up. Don't chase her energy. Become the source of your own. That's when you win.